Max Verstappen! Max Verstappen! Max Verstappen! Max Verstappen!
Max Verstappen, you are a four-time world champion. That is a phenomenal achievement.
In 2024, Max Verstappen delivered a wet weather masterclass at Interlagos, coming from 17th on the grid to win the São Paulo Grand Prix. It was called the drive of a generation. But in 2025, Verstappen did something even more impossible. He didn't win the race, but he finished on the podium starting from the pit lane. Yet for those who watched, it was clear this was the one of the greatest drives of his career, and maybe one of the greatest from the 2025 season. How can a third-place finish be better than a win? Let's break down why Max Verstappen's 2025 Brazil performance surpassed even his 2024 masterpiece. Formula One is a sport obsessed with numbers, wins, poles, fastest laps. But sometimes the stats don't tell the whole story. Sometimes the greatest performances are the ones that defy the data, the ones that leave you shaking your head and asking, how the heck did he do that? Max Verstappen's 2024 win at Interlagos was legendary. He started 17th, survived chaos, and conquered the rain to take the checkered flag. It was the kind of drive that gets replayed for decades. But what he did in 2025? That was something else entirely. It was a drive that broke the rules of probability, and even Formula One history. Starting in the pit lane and then in the end making it to the podium. It was a drive that proved greatness isn't just about winning, it's about overcoming the impossible. Today we're going deep on why Verstappen's 2025 Brazil race was even more impressive than his 2024 win. We'll break down the context, the adversity, the strategy, and the sheer brilliance that made this podium finish a new benchmark for F1 greatness. Before we get to 2025, let's set the stage. In 2024, Verstappen arrived at Interlagos with the championship already clinched, but with something to prove. A grid penalty dropped him to 17th, and the weather gods decided to make things interesting. The race was chaos from the start with rain, and a field of drivers all desperate for a result. Verstappen, calm as ever, picked his way through the carnage. He made bold passes, avoided trouble, and managed his tyres like a master. After a while in the race, he started leading. He crossed the line first, arms raised, having pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in F1 history. The headlines were unanimous: Verstappen's miracle in the rain. The drive of a lifetime. A champion's statement. It was the kind of win that cements a legacy, but as great as it was just the prelude to what would happen a year later. Fast forward to 2025. Verstappen is still the man to beat, but the circumstances are very different. First, the car. Red Bull's RB21 is fast, but Max struggled with it. The car is designed for low ride heights and smooth tracks. Interlagos, with its bumps, elevation changes and unpredictable surface, is the worst possible venue for this machine. Second, the stakes. Verstappen is trailing Lando Norris in the championship by 49 points with only 3 races left. He needs a miracle to keep his title hopes alive. Third, the disaster. In qualifying, the RB21 is rough. Verstappen is eliminated in Q1 for the first time in his career based off performance. To make matters worse, Red Bull decides to break Parc Fermé rules and rebuild the car overnight, forcing Max to start from the pit lane. Fourth, the tyre nightmare. Starting from the pit lane means a deficit that will take laps to overcome. And then just as his tyres are coming up to temperature, Verstappen gets a puncture on lap 6. He pits under a virtual safety car, drops to dead last, and is away behind the leader after just a few laps. At this point, most drivers would be thinking about damage limitation, maybe a point or two, maybe just finishing, but not Max. The overnight rebuild was a gamble. Red Bull changed a lot of things about the car. No track testing, just simulation and hope. Somehow they found the sweet spot. The car was finally drivable, but Max was starting from the back, with a wounded tyre strategy and a mountain to climb. The early puncture, which should have ended his race, actually saved him. It allowed Max to switch to the optimal tyre compound under a virtual safety car, minimizing time loss. But it also meant he'd have to make 3 pit stops, 2 more than the leaders. Once Verstappen settled into the race after the puncture, he was relentless. On the same tyre compound as George Russell, he was going faster than a lot of guys, despite being in traffic, on a heavier car, and with less track position. He passed car after car, making moves in places where nobody else dared. Toward the end, he'd erased a big deficit to just seconds to third place. His average pace over 10 laps was faster than Oscar Piastri, who started P4 with a clean two-stop strategy. Max, with 4 stops and a pit lane start, was objectively the fastest man on track. Red Bull's engineers made a ruthless call. When Max found himself leading the race, they brought him in for a final stop, putting him on fresh softs to guarantee a podium. It meant giving up the lead, but it was the only way to secure points and keep the championship dream alive. The highlight? An audacious outside pass on George Russell through the Senna S with DRS open. Russell locked up, Verstappen swept around the outside and the crowd went wild. It was the move of the race. Max crossed the line in third, just 10.7 seconds behind the winner, despite making 2 more pit stops and starting from the pit lane. He'd lost 30+ seconds more than the winner just sitting in the pits and still finished on the podium. So, why was this drive better than his 2024 win? Let's start with the odds. In 2024, Max started 17th in the rain. In 2025, he started from the pit lane with a car that was a nightmare to set up. A puncture, 3 pit stops, and a big deficit after 8 laps. Statistically, the odds of a podium were not in his favour to finish on the podium. Not a lot of drivers in F1 history had ever reached the podium from a pit lane start with an early puncture. The RB21 was a knife-edge machine. It was unbeatable on smooth tracks, but Interlagos exposed every weakness. Red Bull talked about how hard it was to set up for the race. Red Bull's overnight miracle gave Max a car he could drive, but it was still a handful. Max's ability to manage tyres, especially after the early puncture, was superhuman. He kept the mediums alive, found grip where others couldn't, and made the hard compound work superhuman qualities from Max that he showed that day. 3 pit stops, a pit lane start, a puncture, and still he finished on the podium. The strategy was bold, aggressive, and perfectly executed. Red Bull took risks, and Max delivered. This wasn't a rain lottery or a race of attrition. The 2025 São Paulo Grand Prix was run in dry conditions, with no red flags, no lottery-style chaos, and no luck. It was pure racing and execution. Max was 49 points behind in the championship. The title was slipping away. Most drivers would have folded. Max drove like a man possessed, with nothing to lose and everything to prove. The fans knew what they were seeing. Max was voted Driver of the Day with 56.7% of the vote, more than the race winner and P2 combined. Analysts called it the greatest drive of the hybrid era. The data backed it up. Fastest average pace, most overtakes, and a podium from a statistical dead end. Even his rivals were in awe. Lando Norris, the race winner, probably thought Max would have got this one without the tyre puncture. Red Bull's engineers said it was lightning in a bottle. A perfect storm of driver, strategy, and execution. Max's 2025 Brazil drive changed the way we think about greatness in F1. It proved that winning isn't always the best measure of a driver's skill. Sometimes it's about overcoming the impossible, about fighting when the odds are stacked against you, about delivering when nobody else could. It also raised the bar for what's possible. For years, we've talked about Senna at Donington, Schumacher at Spain, Hamilton at Silverstone. Now we have Verstappen at Interlagos, twice. For the fans, it was a reminder of why we watch. Not for the stats, not for the trophies, but for the moments that make us believe in the impossible. For the drives that leave us speechless, that make us jump off the couch, that remind us why we fell in love with racing in the first place. Max Verstappen's 2025 Brazil drive will be talked about for decades. It's the kind of performance that becomes legend, that gets passed down from fan to fan, that becomes the answer to the question, what's the greatest drive you've ever seen? It's not just about the result. It's about the context, the adversity, the execution. It's about a driver who refused to give up, who found a way when there was no way, who turned a hopeless situation into a moment of greatness. The records will show that Max finished third, but anyone who watched knows that this was a win in every sense that matters. It's also a reminder that greatness isn't just about talent. It's about resilience, about adaptability, about the willingness to fight when everything is against you. Max's drive in Brazil 2025 is a masterclass in all of those qualities. It's a lesson for every young driver, every fan, every competitor in any sport. it's also a warning to the rest of the grid. As long as Max Verstappen is on the track, no lead is safe, no race is over, no record is unbreakable. The impact of this drive will be felt for years. Young drivers will study it, engineers will analyse it, and fans will remember it as the day Max Verstappen redefined what's possible in Formula One. The 2025 Brazil drive also changed the way teams approach adversity. Red Bull's overnight rebuild, their willingness to throw out the playbook and start from scratch, showed that sometimes you have to take risks to achieve greatness. It was a lesson in courage, in innovation, and in the power of belief. For Max, it was a validation of everything he's worked for. The hours on the simulator, the relentless pursuit of perfection, the refusal to accept anything less than the best. It was a drive that silenced the doubters, that proved once and for all that he's not just a great driver, he's an all-time great. The reaction to Max's 2025 Brazil drive was immediate and overwhelming. Social media lit up with praise, with fans and pundits alike calling it the greatest drive of the modern era. The highlight reels were everywhere. Max slicing through the field, making passes in places where nobody else dared, managing his tyres with surgical precision, and never giving up, no matter how hopeless the situation seemed. The media couldn't get enough. Every major outlet ran features on the drive, breaking down the data, the strategy, the psychology. Analysts compared it to the greatest drives in history: Senna at Donington, Schumacher at Spain, Hamilton at Silverstone, and argued that Max's performance was right up there with the best. But it wasn't just the experts who were impressed. The fans knew what they were seeing. Max was voted Driver of the Day by a landslide, with more than half the vote. The Brazilian crowd, always passionate, gave him a standing ovation as he climbed out of the car. Even the other drivers were in awe. Lando Norris, who won the race, was probably thinking he got lucky Max got a tyre puncture. George Russell acknowledged how great it was. The myth of the 2025 Brazil drive grew with every retelling. Fans debated where it ranked among the all-time great performances. Was it better than Senna's wet weather masterclass? Was it more impressive than Schumacher's comeback? Was it the greatest drive of the hybrid era? For many, the answer was yes, because it wasn't just about the result, it was about the journey, the fight, the refusal to give up. The story of the 2025 São Paulo Grand Prix became a rallying cry for fans and drivers alike. It was proof that no matter how bad things look, no matter how far back you start, you can always fight your way back. It was a reminder that greatness is forged in adversity, not in comfort. So, what's next for Max Verstappen? He's already a four-time world champion, a record breaker, and a legend in the making. But drives like São Paulo 2025 show that he's not done yet. He's still pushing, still fighting, still finding new ways to amaze us. The question now is, how much higher can he go? Can he catch Hamilton's records? Can he become the greatest of all time? If Brazil 2025 is any indication, the answer is yes. Because for Max Verstappen, the impossible is just another challenge to overcome. But there's more to it than just numbers. Max's legacy will be defined by moments like this, by the drives that defy belief, by the races that become legend, by the performances that make us all remember why we love this sport. He's inspired a new generation of fans, brought new energy to the paddock, and shown that greatness is about more than just winning. It's about how you win, about what you overcome, about the mark you leave on the sport. As the 2026 season warms up, one thing is clear: Max Verstappen is still the man to beat, and as long as he's on the grid, Formula One will never be short on drama, excitement, or moments that make us believe in the impossible. The next generation of drivers, Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Russell, are all watching, all learning, all trying to figure out how to match what Max did in Brazil. They know that to be the best, you have to beat the best, and right now the best is still Max Verstappen. So was Max Verstappen's 2025 Brazil drive better than his 2024 masterpiece? There's a good argument for it. It was a drive for the ages, a reminder that greatness isn't just about winning, but about fighting, adapting, and delivering when everything is against you. It was a drive that redefined what's possible, that set a new standard for excellence, that reminded us all why we watch, why we care, why we love this sport. What do you think? Was this the greatest drive in F1 history? Did we miss any details? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe and check out our next videos.